It's Tuesday, February 16th, and the time for your Barbados Today morning news update. The island's business community appears to be softening its stance on extended lockdown measures as COVID-19 cases and related deaths continue to climb. However, the leaders of the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the Barbados Private Sector Association are keeping a close eye on the long-term impact of the national pause on their members. As part of efforts to get a handle on the community spread of the virus, Prime Minister Mia Mottley yesterday announced that the nightly curfew and the strict ban on non-essential business will remain in effect until February 28th. BCCI President Tricia Tannis revealed that many businesses were still opposed to the extended lockdown, but acknowledged the current realities are extremely complex.
The position has not really changed, and as it's articulated either by ourselves or through the BPSA. I don't think it's any surprise that we were against a total lockdown, and unfortunately the narrative has been a bit negative in terms of, profiteering and that kind of thing. The truth is that there's not a lot of profit to be profiteering about. We see the impact of employees who have to be laid off. We see the impact on people who cannot feed their families. All right. We see the impact of people who cannot support their children. Okay. Understood. So lockdown is not an easy decision to make. It is not an easy decision to make. And that is the position of the business community. But before the government, can we consider anything else other than this? Because we see the economic hardship for people in this country. All right, and this time is worse. Yeah. All right, this time is worse because it's less than 12 months since the last time. And we have high levels of unemployment. We have businesses on the brink of collapse, having gone through it the first time. Now this is likely to be the end of the road.
BPSA Chairman Ed Clark said while businesses are keen to get back on their feet, government's main objective must be the spiraling COVID-19 situation. He, however, maintained that neither economic stagnation nor government bailouts are sustainable solutions.
What we would like to see is a waiver of penalties and interest on any late payments to government for various things, VAT and pay away and so on, especially considering the postal services and working as well. National insurance and so on. But, the reality is that the situation in the economy right now, we have to be realistic and see what can government really do to support the wider economy much longer. It is all right to give out $250 a week to the small vendors and $750 a week to shopkeepers. But how long can a country sustain that? And who is going to pay for it ultimately? The care packages is another thing. How long can a country continue that? That is not the way for a country to survive and to grow and to expand its economy. So we have to do what we have to do as a country to reduce the need for that. And that is by cutting COVID, getting vaccines, and reducing the COVID case count, the positivity rate. But in the interim, people have to comply with the regulations. And sadly, that is not yet fully understood by many Barbadians.
Almost 3,000 people have received their first dose of the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine. Word of this from Prime Minister Mia Mottley during an address to the nation yesterday. Since receiving 100,000 doses of the vaccine last Tuesday from the Indian government, 2,863 people had received the jab, and the Prime Minister expects the number of vaccinations per week to increase soon.
Most of them will get their second dose, I'm being told, in 10 weeks' time. But by the same token, this is a commendable start for a country that really did not have a lot of stuff in place for a vaccination program. This week, we expect to see it considerably ramped up, especially with the inclusion of the vulnerable from today. As you would have known, I think most of the health officials and the security people were at the front of the vaccination program thus far. But we need now to continue the rest of those frontline workers while increasing those persons who have registered. Up to this morning, I was told that we had just over 2,000 persons over 70 registered and just under 1,000 persons between 18 and 69 who have already registered. But I must tell you that once we ramp up the public education program, we expect those numbers to continue even more.
Health officials say everything is being done to track all COVID-19 related deaths in the country. The assurance from infectious diseases specialist and head of isolation facilities, Dr. Corey Ford, and senior medical officer in the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Dr. Anton Best. Responding to whether checks are made to determine whether persons who die at home could have died from the virus, Dr. Ford said health authorities will not leave in anything to chance.
Generally, unless there is a reason why we might believe that someone who may have died at home either was in the household where someone is actually positive, or had been in contact with someone positive, or had symptoms, and we look at the whole situation that would have done that, then we would have actually have done COVID screening on those individuals. We have done that in some cases, and of course, we have found them positive at this point. We've known that people have been at home ill, and when they go to the emergency department, for example, and they probably died in emergency, at least in one case. And looking back in the case, we actually found that person actually was COVID positive. So if there's a reason to do that, then we would proceed to do that. If we look at the history, the contact, for example, those sort of things would allow us to make those sort of decisions.
So far, there have been 25 confirmed COVID-19 related deaths, and Dr. Best said once authorities suspected a deceased person could have been exposed to COVID-19, the necessary tests were done.
We have had instances of people dying suspiciously in their homes. So in addition to doing the autopsy, what we have done, if we strongly suspected that COVID-19 was possible, we actually did do a test post-mortem. And in those cases, we found that persons were negative. So just to make sure that we're not missing any deaths in Barbados due to COVID-19, we investigate, as what Dr. Ford was saying, but we also do a COVID test if we have reason to believe that it was a possible COVID exposure.
The Muslim community to donate some 1,000 food hampers to needy families across the country. Yesterday, a team from the Juma Mosque were busy bagging packages to distribute. President of the mosque, Abdul Kof Diwala, spoke to Barbados Today about the hamper drive.
We have started this hamper drive again. We did it last year, so it was overwhelming, and it was really heartening for us to go back and give back the community something around the surrounding areas. So we started this thing since last week, and we have some good donations for our community members as well. And we started since last week, so we want to continue. Our target is about 1,000 hampers this time, although last year we did close to 2,000. But this year we should be able to get at least 1,000. Although a lot of people are not working and they're on the pause, but the community coming forward and donating, generously. We have done about 400 hampers so far. We still have some stuff left back, and whatever has run out of, we're going to order some more and do another 600 in a couple of more days.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
The news from the region, a team of investigators from the Guyana Defense Force is currently probing Monday's discovery of a small boat found adrift in the country's waters with a number of dead bodies on board. Gordon Mosley of News Source Guyana reports.
A senior military official has confirmed that the Guyana Defense Force and other agencies are probing the reports. The vessel was reportedly spotted earlier today by the crew of another vessel. the number of dead persons on the boat has not been confirmed. A probe by the crew of the outgoing vessel discovered the lifeless bodies and immediately alerted the local maritime administration, which contacted the GDF and other relevant agencies. All of the bodies found on the vessel are in a partly decomposed state. A source familiar with the discovery has told News Source that the vessel had no markings to indicate whether it is a Guyanese registered or from another country. The source also explained that the Coast Guard is working with the other agencies to get a direct location for the drifting vessel. Once the investigative team makes it to the vessel, their probe will seek to identify the registration of the boat and clues about the dead persons aboard it.
And finally, at least 4 deaths are being blamed on the freezing weather sweeping across the U.S. state of Texas, which has also left almost 5 million people in northern Mexico without power, according to reports. More from CBS News.
The ultra-low temperatures will last for several days, meaning that what becomes frozen will remain frozen for a long period of time.
The historic storm caused problems across the country. Firefighters in Vermont rescued this young man from frigid waters after he fell through the ice. Tennessee roads turned into ice rinks after frozen precipitation fell. In Little Rock, Arkansas, cars were brought to a standstill on a slippery highway, trapping nurses who just got off their shift.
Stay home or stay where you are. Stay home.
The temperatures in parts of Oklahoma dipped below 20 degrees for 5 days straight for the 3rd time ever. And with another storm looming, crews worked to clear snow as fast as they could. Nearly 4 million people across the South have lost power. In Louisiana, the cold caused a transformer to blow, ripping a fireball through power lines. The agency overseeing Texas's power grid has declared its highest emergency level in over a decade. Texans sitting in the dark tonight after rolling blackouts were issued due to high power demand.
That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.